Hi guys, Ali Taylor here, and today we're going to show you how to master the 50-yard pitch shot. Right, so 50 yards, even for tour players, isn't a yardage that golfers particularly enjoy. Now, most golfers would rather leave themselves a full shot into the green than a partial shot. And I think, generally speaking, it should be easier for the partial swing because it's a smaller swing, the club's moving slower, but it is amazing how golfers really struggle. First of all with the strike, and then second of all to actually control the distance. So in today's video, I'm going to show you a really simple understanding of why you struggle with your pitch shots, how we're going to get you to set up better, and then how we're going to get you really striking the ball well, developing that feel and really mastering, for today's video, the 50-yard pitch, but any of those partial wedge shots. Right then, so the 50-yard pitch shot generally should be a fairly easy shot. You know, the golf club hasn't got to move a huge distance around the body. It's not a lot of speed going on in there, but most golfers, in my opinion, would probably rather leave themselves 80-90 yards where they can make a full swing than leave themselves this partial golf swing. Now, all we're really looking to do, like I said, is once you get there, have a rough idea of how long a swing you want to make. And if you can stand and execute very like that, I was looking for that to finish 50 yards, so I've pitched 48, rolled out to 52. We could see my low point was 3.6 inches after the golf ball, so the club's been moving down 5 degrees and lots of backspin at 7,500. Now, the reason I think a lot of golfers struggle with this type of shot is the key element for me when you're into these partial wedge shots is controlling where that low point of the golf swing is. Making sure that that low point's after the golf ball so that the club is traveling down. Not too much, not too little, but traveling down enough so that we can get a good strike on the ball, deliver the correct loft, and then generate some nice spin and trajectory on the shot. But the problem I see for a lot of golfers is that at setup to begin with, they make it incredibly difficult for themselves. So they put the ball fairly central, maybe slightly forward, your preference there. But what they'll do then is, because they feel they want to get the ball in the air, they'll actually get the spine moving slightly away from the golf ball, which will move the pressure into that back foot. The problem then is that the low point's actually behind the golf ball. And one of the key poor shots is that golfers will set up like that and actually miss the ground, thin the ball, and even though that one's kind of ended up okay, it's very difficult when you're striking it like that, and the next one they might hit the ground. But I think very often feedback we get from playing partners doesn't help. So if you're somebody who maybe thins the ball, predominantly that will be because you've got that low point behind the ball, you're missing the ground, and as you swing up, the leading edge catches the ball. So then the worst thing people get told is to hit down more and more. So what they actually end up doing is getting very steep, moving the low point way in front of the golf ball, and then again, either the club doesn't get low enough and they thin it, or if they get slightly behind the golf ball, the club's moving so steeply into there that they just chunk it 10-15 yards in front. So the first thing we want to get our heads around is how we're going to set up to control our low point. I mentioned before that a lot of the time golfers would prefer a full shot to a partial swing. And when you watch a full shot, any iron, but particularly a wedge, the pressure will be fairly 50-50 at address. But as you start down, you get a big shift into that lead side. And by impact, we know that golfers generally get kind of 70 to 80% pressure in their lead foot. So it's not always a case of leaning that way to get there. So what we're going to get you to do with these partial wedge shots is keep the ball fairly central, still stand fairly square, and I want you to feel that you push your left foot into the floor and just feel that your shoulders are a little bit more level. Now, a great example of this is Jordan Spieth, great wedge player. He looks very level with his shoulders, and one of the things Jordan will do is as he has some practice swings, he kind of gets a feel that he's just brushing the ground. But he'll be trying to brush the ground in the same place each time to control that low point. But what we're going to say then is, we're going to set up, try and feel that we press into our left foot, keep those shoulders nice and level, and keep the pressure in that left foot while we swing. So a few yards short, but again, we can see the club's moving down with that negative angle of attack. Low point was after the golf ball. It was a good strike and lots of spin. So once I start controlling that low point, I get a feel for whether the swing's big enough. So again, we're going to set up, pressure left, keep it left. So a little bit left with the shot, but again we can see low point after the golf ball. Club's actually travelled down a little bit more there, so probably just launched that a little bit lower than I would like. Decent amount of spin, but again that finishing round about that 50 yards. And I do, like I said before, the key for these shots is controlling that low point. If you allow that pressure to move around in your feet, because the club's only moving a very small distance, there's very little time to move that pressure back. So if we can just control that low point, control that pressure shift, you're going to strike these shots so much better. And you're going to master that 50-yard pitch. Right then guys, so hopefully there we saw something nice and simple in setup. Once you've got yourself set up, maybe having those few little practice swings next to the golf ball like Jordan Spieth does, showing yourself just a bit of visual feedback where that low point is, where you're making contact with the ground. As soon as you're doing that consistently, you can then take that fear factor of, am I not going to strike the ball well, out of it. Once you know you can strike the ball well, then it is all down to the length of swing. It might be even after today's session, you don't feel you've mastered necessarily the 50-yard pitch, but you might have found a swing that hits it 30 or 40 or 60. The key then is putting some practice in, learning different length back swings with different wedges so that you have got some really good influence on the golf ball, so that when you're inside 100 yards, you're giving yourself a really good chance for a 1-putt. Worst case though, a 2-putt. And if you guys out there are starting to take 3 as your maximum number of shots from 100 yards, that's already going to save you shots. If you can turn some of those 3s into 2s, well then we're really saving huge shots, and that's going to help you get your scores down and enjoy your golf more than ever. So guys, hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, like and share it, comment below, and I'll get back to as many people as I can. If you've enjoyed the video and you don't currently subscribe, please consider clicking the button below, ring that notification bell, and then you find out whenever I drop a new video. Follow me on all my social media platforms, all under Ali Taylor Golf. Hopefully catch up with some of you guys down here soon. Stay in contact.